Hello and welcome to 32 Bar Cut. I'm Austin Cook, and today we are continuing with how to make the best audition book for your musical theater audition that you can. All right, on last week's episode, we talked about what are the categories that I need in my audition book. What songs, what type of material? Do I need up-tempos, ballads? Do I need modern, pop, rock and roll, old golden age musical theater? Well, the answer is all of the above, but I talk about it in that episode. And so make sure you check part 1 out before continuing on with today's episode, part 2, where I talk about how to find the music, where to get it, how to download it, print it, and how to put it together in your book, and then making the 32 bar cuts and 16 bar cuts, 8 bar cuts even, of those songs in your book. Okay, so we've chosen 20 songs that need to go into our new audition book. Now we got to find the music. Now, where do we start with this? Well, it depends on what kind of song it is, where we're going to go to look for the music. If it's a musical theater song, so it's from a Broadway show, there's going to be a piano vocal selections book that was published by, whether it's Hal Leonard or Sam French or one of the publishing houses. There's going to be an official vocal selections book that we know is out there that we can find. That's a great place to start. We'll talk about how to find that exact music in a second. But if you're choosing a modern song, a pop rock song, or a rap song, or any type of popular music song, there may not be an official vocal selection music from a publisher that is available for your use. So what is nice about the internet nowadays is that you have these websites, which I'm going to show you on the screen. Music Notes, for instance, has an archive of people like me, composers, who have transcribed the music for you. They've done all the hard work. So they've put in the piano music, they put in a vocal line, and now you can buy that for $5, whatever it is, and you can download it and put it in your book. Now, there is a big caveat to that. The problem with music bought on Music Notes or one of the similar websites is that it's made by somebody like me. It's made by a person. It could be anybody. It could be a teenager sitting in Bulgaria, okay, who may have no idea what the actual music is. They're just listening to it and transcribing their version of it. So you're gonna get a lot of bad accompaniments and maybe wrong keys, and a lot of problems present themselves on sites like Music Notes. So you have to be very vigilant in what music you are selecting. Luckily for us, you can preview those before you buy them. So you're able to see if it has a piano part, a vocal line, and a clear lyric line going throughout the entire piece. And a lot of times there's also chords, which are helpful. And then in addition to that, there are also reviews that you can see that other people like this music. Was it good? Because you do not want to buy, for instance, just the vocal part or just the guitar tab or a brass horn arrangement of the song. You want to make sure you're getting a piano stave, the vocal line, and the lyric line. So let's talk about where to go to get our music. So where I go, the first place I go is on my hard drive. I have a lot of scores already. And you may have a friend, a music director, an actor friend who has a lot of scores already. You can ask them for the music, ask around. That's a great way to start. If you don't have the music or have access to any of those PDFs that already exist, a great resource is Scribd, Scribd.com, Scribd.com, I think is how you say it. I don't know. But if you go to Scribd.com, I'm showing you a little bit of the site right now, and you type in, for instance, my first song was Hunchback of Notre Dame, Heaven's Light. If I type that in, Scribd is going to bring up results. It's going to bring up sheet music results. It's going to bring up PDFs. It's going to bring up documents. And there you can see if that document exists of your score. Now, technically this is a bootleg. This is illegal, my friends. So I can't endorse this publicly, but I'm letting you know what we all do is we try to find a PDF of the score that already exists so we can put that in our book. When we're looking for this, we're looking for the official piano vocal selections version of the song, and not just a guitar tab or a scribbled lyric sheet or just the vocal line. Sometimes you'll see just the vocal line. You want to make sure there's a piano accompaniment as well. So start with Scribd. Okay, so you checked Scribd, you checked with your friends, you still don't have the music. Where can you go? Well, now this is where I start to recommend musicnotes.com or similar. There's other sites that do this exact same thing, Sheet Music Plus, for instance. When you go to Music Notes, go ahead and type in the name of your song. So let's say I'm looking for one of my songs, I'm looking for Note to Self by Ben Rector. I type in Note to Self. Ooh, I see something. Ooh, the first one I see, it's just the guitar version. You don't want that. Don't bring that into your audition. You're looking for a piano version where there's a piano accompaniment, a vocal line, and the lyrics, okay? You're looking for that version. So make sure whatever you type in that you have the piano accompaniment there and that it's well reviewed, that it seems like a lot of people are downloading this arrangement. You don't want any surprises there. Okay, so hopefully you found your music either on Scribd or through a friend or on Music Notes or Sheet Music Plus. But if you still haven't found the music, you can try just going to Google and typing in the name of your song .pdf and try to find a PDF somewhere on the internet of this song or someone that has access to this sheet music. So try a Google search if you're still coming up empty. As a last resort, or maybe a first resort if you're a library person, you can always go to your local public library or a college campus if you're on a campus already. A lot of music archives or music libraries carry all kinds of these books with piano vocal selections of Broadway shows. So you could do it that way. You could go to the library, a music library preferably at a conservatory or a music college, and you might be able to find this music at the library, be able to scan it, be able to check it out, and or take a picture with your PDF scanner on your phone is what a lot of people do nowadays. Again, I can't endorse this. I can't say that you should do this, but that's what a lot of people do because, again, you do have copyright issues. Best thing to do is to buy it or to look for the actual piano vocal selections on Amazon or somewhere and buy it or rent it that way. And then you're doing everything legally. Okay, so before continuing on, make sure that you have found the 20 songs you've selected. Make sure you found the PDFs and downloaded all of these songs so that we can continue on with now we're going to start making the cuts to these songs. If you're having trouble finding the song, you may have to pick a different song if there is no sheet music available. You may just have to say, I can't find this one, and pick a different song. Or reach out to someone like myself who can make an arrangement for you in Finale. And I'm going to show you an example of that today where there was a song I couldn't find, so I actually made the arrangement myself in Finale. I'll show you what that looks like. All right, I want to give you some examples of what this music might possibly look like, because this piano music can look different depending on the show or how old it is or what decade it's from. So first I'm going to show you one of my songs I chose, Heaven's Light from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So what I found was the actual piano vocal selections book for this song. And as you can see, it's photocopied from the original piano vocal selections book, and this is perfect. This is ideal. So this has the piano part, just like we talked about. This has the vocal line very clear, and it's very clear, easy to read. It's a pretty good photocopy. It's clear, it's not fuzzy, and it's gonna be great when I hole punch this and put this into my book. So that's example one. Example one is an official piano vocal selections arrangement. Next, let's look at this next song, which is another one that I chose called Note to Self by Ben Rector. Now for this one, I couldn't find an arrangement that worked good for an audition setting or a performance setting. It just didn't, there were just kind of guitar or basic versions that I didn't think were the right chords. It didn't really suit the song and what we're doing in musical theater very well. So let me do it myself, which is always an option. You can do it yourself or hire somebody that knows how to do this in Sibelius or Finale. I use Finale and I put it in. So you can see what I did here. I have a nice piano accompaniment. I put in the vocal line. I put the vocal part, and I made the whole arrangement myself, just as it would look in a piano vocal selections book. And now I have a custom audition just for me. The nice thing about this is I can go in Finale and create a 32-bar version and print that out just custom for each audition. So it's really nice if you have that skill set to make these and craft these yourself. You can also change the key with a click of a button. Very nice. Comes in very handy. Okay, next, let's look at a little bit older example. So now I have something from A Man of No Importance, which is a modern musical, but I have another, this copyist is a little bit of a different old school copyist. And you'll see it's another photocopy. You can see the binder here. And it's a little bit smaller and it's a little bit grainier. So this is not as good of a photocopy as, say, the other Hunchback one that I had. That was a little bit bigger, it was a little clearer. So you want to be careful in these that it doesn't get too small and grainy and hard for the accompanist to read. This one's acceptable, but just be aware of it and make sure that it's still legible for the accompanist, because again, they only have one shot to read this and you want them to get it right on the first try. So this is an example of kind of what that looks like. Just a different copyist, a different version of the music. Now I gotta show you, as an accompanist, my least favorite type of music that I see in your audition books, and it's gonna happen, it's inevitable, because some shows just don't have the proper engraved music. A perfect example of what I'm talking about is this. From anything from The Wiz, is a great example. So a lot of you want to sing Be a Lion, for instance. It's in Adrian's book, from The Wiz. The problem with it, take a look. When you get to some of these older shows, a lot of the shows back in the day were written by hand. Of course, that's how it used to work. So all this was handwritten. And as you can see, this is the reduction, the Broadway orchestration reduced to a they call it a piano reduction. And you can see the little oboe lines, it has harp lines, it has clarinet lines here, it has brass, it has a condensed piano version, which works, and it has a vocal line. But it's all, I call it chicken scratch. It's all written by hand, so it's very hard to read. And on top of that, it's photocopied. So it's the quality is reduced. So this can be very, very difficult to read on a first pass for an accompanist. Now, luckily, a song like Be a Lion, most accompanists know, so at least they have a fighting chance. But this is a very bad thing to bring into an audition, especially for all of you regional theater auditioners. A lot of your regional theater accompanists may struggle with this kind of accompaniment, because again, take a look. See how in this right hand there is actually no music. It's just slashes. So slashes for an accompanist mean fill it in. It just means create the groove. The groove's there, you create it yourself. They give us the chords and then we kind of make it up. That's difficult for most accompanists to do on the fly, especially if they don't know the song. When they know the song, it's a little bit easier, but still it's a lot to ask for them to make up something, again, on the spot. They're reading for the first time. They're collaborating with you. They're not used to what you do, your tempo, your vocal phrasing. That's a lot to ask of the accompanist. So be very wary and careful with bringing in a song that is handwritten in the accompaniment and that is slashes. If you see slashes, you probably want to pick a different song or find a different version of that of that side for the accompanist to read, or get a friend to write it out. So again, you want to have the best audition you can possibly have. And this chicken scratch and this handwritten stuff, you're probably going to run into problems. All right, you printed out your music double-sided, you've hole punched it, you put it in a new binder. Now let's get to work creating the 32-bar cut. Now, before we continue, a 32-bar cut is not exactly 32 bars. This is a very confusing concept. Stick with me, and I'm going to help guide you through this whole process. It's more important that a 32-bar cut is 90 seconds. You want your audition to be around 90 seconds. Why? Because a 32-bar cut is relative. If your tempo is slow, then obviously you're going to be there a lot longer. It could be 2 to 3 minute audition if you have 32 bars of a tempo, say like Gravity, Sarah Bareilles, with a tempo BPM of 60. It's going to be a long 2.5 minutes before you get to 32 bars. But if you have a really fast song, maybe that's in duple, or that's a real fast Viennese waltz, you're going to have a tempo BPM of 180, 190 maybe. Your 32 bars is going to go back. It's going to go by like that. It's going to be 30 seconds and you're done. So it's more important that you stick to that 90-second threshold. We recently did a carousel post on Instagram that kind of outlines this as well. Check us out on Instagram and you'll see that post that kind of explains what I'm talking about here. as well. So let's talk about this 90 seconds. How do we calculate how many bars we need for 90 seconds? Well, it's going to involve a little bit of math. Lucky for me, I was good at math in high school. Music is math, you know, it was kind of something that made sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, I'll try my best to make it easy so you can't mess it up, but you're going to want to follow this equation. First, you need to locate the BPM of the song that you're singing. So let's do a real world example. I'm going to take you through some of my own examples here. So let's start with this song, Note to Self. This song, Note to Self, does not have a tempo marking. I actually created this music in Finale myself. I didn't put a tempo marking, but I've calculated that it's 80 BPM, or a quarter note equals 80. How did I get that? Well, a good way for you, if you don't know, is to get a metronome app or a physical metronome and to tap. A lot of them have tapping features where you can just tap along to the beat and it will tell you the tempo or the BPM that you're looking at. So for this song, it was about 80. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 80 divided by 60, because I'm getting the per second thing here. So I'm gonna clear this out. I'm gonna say 80 divided by 60 equals 1.333, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm gonna take that times 90, because I want 90 seconds for this audition. So that equals 120. Now here's the tricky part. Not that tricky, but I am in 4/4 times. So what you're going to do, and the reason that you're doing this calculation is because this does change. Sometimes you're in 3/4, sometimes you're in 2/4, sometimes you're in 2/2. You want to take the top number of the time signature, so that's the 4, the top number here, and you want to take whatever calculation you've come up with here. You want to take 120 divided by 4 equals 30. So now I know that I need 30 bars of music to get to 90 seconds, okay? So I'm putting this at the top corner. So what I want you to go through all of your songs, all 20 of your songs in your new book, and calculate this number using this equation and come up with a number of bars, because then we're going to construct the cuts based on that number together. Let's do another example. So let's take the song Love Who You Love. Now this is a good example because this is in a waltz time. This is in 3/4. So we're going to do the same thing, a little bit different. First, we're going to calculate what the BPM is. So I'm going to sing it. Not one to lecture, how could I dare? Someone like me who's been mainly nowhere but in my ex. Okay, so I'm at ba, 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 ba. Let's say it's there. Let's say it's 180 BPM. And you can use your metronome app. I'm a conductor, so I get pretty good at kind of figuring out what BPMs are. You kind of have to know. But you're going to want to use your metronome app more than likely. It'll tell you the BPM. I've calculated the quarter note equals 180. So what I'm going to do is do this. Excuse me. I'm going to do my equation. 180 divided by 60, because I'm trying to find out per second. I could have done that in my head, but that's okay. 3. Now I'm going to take that times 90 seconds. That equals 270. Now, how many beats are in a measure? I see 3 here, not 4 like last time, because I'm in waltz time. This says 3. So I want to divide that by 3 equals 90. So I need 90 bars of music to equal 90 seconds. Now, you may say, that sounds like a lot. That can't be right. Well, it is right, and if you think about it, it makes sense, because what I've calculated basically is that for every measure is 1 second. Not one to lecture, how could I dare? Someone like me who's been made. So you see how each bar is 1 second? Well, 90 seconds, there you go. So the 90 bars in 90 seconds. Now you can kind of see why it's so important that you actually figure out this equation and not just do 32 bars. Because if I was just to do 32 bars, I would shortchange my audition. I'd only be giving 30 seconds of an audition when they asked for 32 bars, meaning kind of a 90-second audition frame. So you don't want to shortchange yourself. Also important though, is if you're doing that slow ballad that's just creeping by in a 4/4 time, you may only do 20 bars of music. And trust me, the casting team and director are not going to be happy if you take more than 90 seconds. That just is too long of an audition. You're wasting their time. You don't want to do that. So this calculation is very important. So there's 2 examples of this calculation. Let's do one more just for fun so that we really understand. So I've got Heaven's Light here. Again, I've calculated, let's say my BPM is 88. So I'm going to take 88 divided by 60. So that's the per second rate. I'm taking that times 90 because it's a 90-second audition. I get 132. I'm now dividing that by, here's my time signature. I'm in 4/4. So I'm going to divide that by 4 equals 33. So I know that this audition, and I already have it written here, 33 bars is what I'm looking for my 90-second audition. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this equation. For those of you that aren't good at math, I'm here to help you as much as I can. Okay, let's move on. So now you've taken all 20 songs, you have the exact number of bars that you're going to use for your 32-bar audition, which is more like 90 seconds. You have all those bar numbers. Now let's go through and talk about how to make the cuts now. So we want to actually construct this audition using that number of bars for each song. What is the goal of these cuts? The goal is to create the feeling of the entire number in a shorter amount of time. So rather than just picking the first however many bars, for this song, Heaven's Light, that we're going to do, I need 33 bars. Instead of picking the first 33 bars, or just the final 33 bars, I'm going to construct a cutting of certain bars to create the arc of the song and showcase not only my vocals, so I may want to start quietly because that's where the song starts, and then I want to do the big belt and then the big high note at the end. I also want that acting arc that is within the song as well. This is crucial. When most musical theater songs are constructed, or any song, there is always a question or something, a statement at the beginning of what do I want? What is happening? There's a quest, a search at the beginning of the song. In the middle, the bridge, there's some kind of solution or an idea or something that I'm working through. And then at the end of the song, it's the answer. It's this is what I'm going to do. Or the answer is I don't have an answer. But there's some kind of resolution normally at the end of the song to the question that was asked at the beginning. The reason you don't want to just start with the first 33 bars is you're just doing you're just doing the first arc of the song, and you haven't actually given yourself anywhere in an audition to show a whole arc or a whole beat or a whole moment. You're just kind of asking a question, and that's not as interesting as doing a whole number or a whole piece. So let's look at a real world example with Heaven's Light. So I need 33 bars for Heaven's Light, and this is going to work out beautifully because the song basically ends here. Okay, it continues on, but that's another, different people are singing and all that in this cut. So I'm going to count this number of bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Oh my goodness, it's perfect. It's 33 bars. So I know that I'll start at the beginning, and we'll talk about this in the next video. We'll talk about how to write these things. But I know that's the start and that's the end. Beautiful. It's almost as if I planned it that way. Fantastic. How do you count bars? I don't want to take for granted that you know what a bar of music is or a measure. It means the same thing. A bar, measure. Whenever you see these lines, these are called bar lines because it's a line and it's for a bar of music. That's one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You just count from the bars. So that's how you count your size. Let's look at another example. So let's go to note for self. Now we've calculated in note for self that I need 30 bars of music. So note for self, let's see the measure numbers here. There are 69 measures in the song. That's too many. I can only use 30. So what I need to do is construct a cut for the song. Now, one of my favorite ways to create a cut is to take the bridge into the final chorus. I know I want that, and then to grab either the first verse or the second verse or some other verse from the beginning of the song, then put that with the final bridge into the chorus, because normally the bridge in the chorus has a great big high note or big in the acting, it's kind of resolving some of the questions I've been asking. So usually that first verse into the bridge of the chorus is a great trick. So let's try that for this. So let's take the first verse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars. So that's 10 bars. And let's say I'm going to cut here. Now this is actually the second half to the first verse, but that's okay. It's going to work. So there's 10 bars, and then I'm going to cut to E. I know that this is the bridge, so I'm going to cut maybe to here, and let's count that. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Perfect. So I actually only needed 30, I believe, for this one. Yeah, and 30 came right at the end of the song, note to self. And that's the end. And then I can just tell them to play an E flat chord, and then I've made my 90 seconds perfectly. Okay, shall we do one more example? So, in our last example, let's look at this Love Who You Love from Man of No Importance, because this was the one where we were in waltz time, and it goes by really fast, and we said, I can have up to 90 bars in order to make 90 seconds. Well, this song doesn't even have 90 bars. It's not going to be that long. Let's see how many it has. It has 80 bars, basically. 80 bars of music for this song. Perfect. So what I'm going to say is I'm under the 90. It's only 80 bars. That gives me time for a little fermata. If I slow down at the end, I know that I can do this whole cut of a song and still technically be allowed to have that for my 32 bar cut audition. I hope this makes sense. Even though it's 80 bars, it's not 32 bars, it's 80 bars. It's still allowed because it comes in under that 90-second mark. Remember, the casting director, the people behind the desk at your audition, they don't know what your music, what time signature it's in. They don't know what the BPM is. They don't know what the tempo is. They just know how long you're singing for it. So you don't stress about having more bars or less bars. What is crucial is the amount of time. I can't say it enough. Have I said it enough? I think I've repeated myself a bunch. 90 seconds. Let me give you a few other examples of how to construct some cuts or some common tips or tricks to constructing things. You could go from the first verse to the final to the final chorus. That could be your cut. You could go from the first verse to the bridge to the chorus, like I did with Note to Self. You could also go from the last verse to the last chorus and just do the end if it has enough of an acting arc and it seems to make sense. Or you could do any amount of that in between. You could kind of put them together however makes the song best fit your audition. The only warning I will give you is you want to make sure that you're sticking these cuts, or you're sticking to the natural phrasing of the music. You don't want to cut up, a quarter of a verse here and a little piece of a verse here, and don't do that. Stick to entire sections of a song. Keep a whole verse, then that goes into the whole chorus, or then that goes into the whole bridge. You don't want to cut them up too much because then it's going to not make musical sense. So you want to keep kind of the inerrant arc of the song intact. Okay, so we talked about 32 bar cuts. You may be wondering, I need a 16 bar cut. Well, good news, it's basically the same thing, just cut it in half. So follow the exact same principles, just take the equation and after you get the amount of bars, just divide it by 2 and you're good to go. You want to be in the 45-second to a minute range with those 16 bar cuts. And use the same process, just grab, with a 16 bar, you're only going to have time for maybe one verse and one chorus, or just a little half of the first verse into a chorus. So use the same technique. You want to showcase your voice the best you can in that limited amount of bars. Another tip I'll give you is that you want to print 3 copies double-sided of each song. So you want to have an entire song, you want to have a 32 bar cut version of that song, and then you also want to have a 16 bar cut version of that song. Have all 3 versions in your book back to back labeled, so that way when they ask for the entire song, you have that full version, or you have just the 32 bar cut version, or you have just the 16 bar cut version. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or concerns about this process. I know it involves math, which may or may not be your strong suit. It happens to be my strong suit, so I'm here to help you. Let me know if you need help. Next week's episode, we're going to talk about how then to draw in your book. We're going to take our highlighter, our pencil, we're going to mark the cuts. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to label things, how to mark the fermatas, caesuras, retards, accelerandos, dynamics. We're going to write in our scores and help articulate what we need to the accompanist. Also, we're going to talk about how to act the song, how to actually rehearse the song, what kind of beats we need, how to approach singing a musical theater song or a pop song. We're going to talk about that. And then I want to hear how it's going. Let us know, Adrian and I, how your books are looking and shaping up. And we'll see you on next week's episode. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe with the notification bell on so you never miss an episode. And let's get those books in order. And I look forward to seeing you at an audition soon. All right, break a leg, everybody.